Freeing Gaza. Liberating ourselves. Haneen Zoabi. My decision to join the Freedom Flotilla was a spontaneous one. The Free Gaza group had contacted us in the National Political Committee, which represents over 1 million Palestinian citizens of Israel, and a feeling was that we owe Gaza a great deal and should have been doing much more. The question for us was not whether we should join the flotilla, but why had there been such a long delay in our own actions. Gaza is suffering under this cruel siege, a siege designed to humiliate the Palestinians, to break their will, to walk over their dignity, and to punish them for the simple reason that they have expressed their political choices through their free will. The siege had turned Gaza into the largest prison in the whole world, and we felt we had to do something. Personally, I joined the flotilla in solidarity to the people of Gaza, but I also felt that I was liberating myself from feelings of weakness and helplessness. Our contingent, the Palestinian citizens of Israel, joined the flotilla on Monday, May 24. We travelled first to Turkey, where we were joined by other Arab delegations. We then organised several press conferences that attracted large numbers of journalists. I did not expect so much interest from the media. I also did not expect that the National Political Committee, which has been working on the project of building Palestinian national institutions inside of Israel, would get so much attention. We were the smallest delegation only for people, but we received a great deal of attention from journalists and observers, since we were the only Palestinian delegation. Gaza is under siege. Nobody came from the West Bank, and no one was officially representing the Palestinian refugees. Suddenly, we found that we were representing all the Palestinians, not just the 1,200,000 of us living inside Israel. In fact, the Palestinians of Israel are neglected by the Arab world and ignored by the international community. Our predicament is also part of the Palestinian problem, but it has yet to be acknowledged. On the National Political Committee, we carry the burden of representing those who stayed behind in their homeland after 1948, and after more than 530 Palestinian villages were leveled. People may not realize, but in that period, the major Palestinian cities including Jaffa, Lod, Ramla, and Haifa were destroyed and emptied of many, but not all, of their Palestinian inhabitants. This is what we refer to as the Nakba, the catastrophe. Since 1948, Israel has built 530 Jewish cities and 0 cities for the Arabs. Israel also constricts the Arab cities and establishes cities for Jews adjacent to these Arab cities. Israel prevents the establishment of any link between any adjacent Arab cities and has confiscated about 93% of our land in favor of building cities and industrial parks exclusively for its Jewish population. We demand our rights to our own land. This is all part of the discrimination against the citizens of Palestinian origin by the Israeli government. The Israeli Ministry of Education even prevents Arab schools from using the term Nakba when teaching Palestinian history. But this is only part of the process of discrimination. In fact, Israeli laws and institutions facilitate discrimination daily. Israeli law does not consider Arab land confiscation as illegal. Destroying Palestinian homes is condoned by Israeli law. Banning the teaching of Palestinian history is legal. There are 19 laws in Israel that consider specific kinds of discrimination against Arabs to be lawful. Such laws are not temporary measures. They are part of the character of the State of Israel, a natural consequence to the concept of Israel as a Jewish state. But where are we in such a picture? This state does not see any way of building a homeland for Jewish Israelis without fighting its own Arab citizens. The struggle in Israel to achieve rights for the Arabs goes hand in hand with the struggle towards democracy. That is also why we have as our objective not a Jewish state, but a country for all its citizens, both Jews and Arabs. This is indeed the program that my party, the United National Democratic Party, is working for. But Israel does not want our situation broadcast to the world. It has managed to keep us isolated from the Arab world and the international community. Through its laws, Israel has forced us to consider our Arab nation as our own enemy. It has prevented us from visiting our relatives who were forced to flee their country in 1948 and who now live in Syria. For more than 50 years, some Palestinian families have been separated and forbidden from seeing their next of kin. Yet, since the Second Intifada, when the Israeli police killed 13 Palestinian youths in a demonstration against Ariel Sharon and the occupation, we are making our case known to the Arab world and to the international community more vocally. Thus the Freedom Flotilla was a chance for us to break a siege that has been erected around us as well. It was an opportunity for us to put the issue of the forgotten million-plus Palestinians on the global agenda. And this is what we spoke about at our press conferences and to the volunteers on the Freedom Flotilla. We tried to represent the whole Palestinian problem. We spoke about Gaza in terms of the siege. We described how the siege on us means transforming everything inside of Israel to ensure it becomes Jewish. For the West Bank, their siege is the continuous process of the peace negotiation. Our delegation gained respect and attention from the organizers and the media. We were considered the sole Palestinian delegation on the flotilla. ***** on the Mavi Marmara, the atmosphere was lively for the first 3 days. We felt like we were making history. Intensive discussions took place about power and politics. Most importantly, we had left behind our feelings of impotence and apathy. The ships were expected to arrive in Gaza on Monday, May the 31st at 10 a.m. On Sunday at 11 p.m. we were feeling calm. We were around 90 miles from the shore, well in international waters, and we were sure that the Israeli forces would not touch us there. We never thought that we would be attacked, let alone so violently. Who were we? We were simply a group of political activists. We represented an international effort, and we were peaceful. Our cargo had been inspected by the Turkish authorities, and the whole world was following us, and was also following Israel's moves. In our press conferences, we had mentioned repeatedly that Israel carries the burden of any provocation. We stressed time and again that we would not start any provocation. Contrary to our expectation, and while we were still 90 miles from Gaza, and in international waters, the Israeli forces attacked us. They used a massive force that included 14 warships and a helicopter, as if they were striking a strong, fortified base, not some 700 political activists. When I saw the size of their force, I was convinced that the one who sent this kind of attack must have also given the approval to kill. After about 10 minutes, 2 people were already dead, and then quickly a third. The Israeli forces refused to offer any help to the wounded. We lost at least 2 more people that way. After about 20 minutes from the beginning of the attack, at around 4:30 a.m., the noise started to go down. Then, after 70 minutes, we heard voices on the megaphones indicating that everything was over and that the ship was under Israeli control. But what happened during these 50 minutes? Only when we returned to shore did we learn that 4 other men had also been shot dead by the Israelis. What the flotilla did is to break the conspiracy of silence and to force the Gaza siege and the savage occupation on the agenda of the media and that of the politicians. The flotilla has also revealed the impotence of the Arab officials. The flotilla has shown that the will of almost 700 political activists can force Israel to review its calculations. For the first time, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu admitted that there is indeed a siege on Gaza, and that Israel has to end the civilian siege. All the official Arab politicians have not, and could not have done that. Netanyahu's government has started to modify the list of permitted goods into Gaza. But even if Israel were to allow everything into Gaza, we would still need to do more. What we need is not an end to the siege. What we need is equality, and we need to end the occupation. Translated from the Arabic by Muhammad Bey.